in general, the way to understand it. The humanity don't care for truth, history. It's all about narrative. The David and Goliath narrative is very easy. If one side is weak and the other side is strong, it's very clear who is Goliath, who is David.
Well, hold on. All right, that's interesting because back then the Jewish nation was David,
Yeah.
and the Arab nation was Goliath. But
Yeah.
now, it seems that the Jewish nation is Goliath,
Yeah.
and the Arab nation is not. But I hate to go there, but in Revelations they talk about a 200 million man army that comes and takes Jerusalem. And just recently, China and Russia backed the Taliban. And if they back the Taliban and the Taliban gains strength in Afghanistan, eventually, don't you think they're going to come to Israel?
Absolutely. I was going to touch it, but I wanted to start it from
Go back.
give a little bit.
Go back.
Nothing really changed. You know, the Arabs thought they can win Israel in wars. When they realized that they cannot win wars, they took the Palestinian cause and turned it into the political tool. A war is also a political tool.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go to a war just to fight.
Yeah.
It's always for something else.
Your ideas.
So they create that. Arafat was an Egyptian. He was not even a Palestinian. Even Abbas is Syrian. We can tell you every one of those Palestinians. There is no such a thing, really. They're all Arabs from neighboring countries that came around in 1970 when the British allowed them to come in. They needed, the Jewish population was growing, of course, as Jewish coming in. They bring business, they bring work,
Yeah.
so
They needed workers.
Cheap labor was needed, mostly for the British, actually. And they allow more Arabs to come in, and that's what is forming the Palestinians of today. Now, why I believe that the Palestinian thing eventually going to disappear? Because I am a Jewish Christian, and I understand the spiritual part. It's very clear, and everyone that believe know that is eventually Russia, China, Sudan, some of the Arab world, Turkey, Iran, all going to go after Israel. And America would not be there to help anymore.
Well, with our current presidency, I don't believe they would be.
No.
They'll pull out of Israel just as quickly as they did Afghanistan.
Well, luckily Israel is not. Israel depends more on supply of parts and ammunition and stuff like this, but everything is made there too.
Mm-hmm. Well, not much is
Biden,
made in America anymore.
The American army don't take any real part in Israeli wars. The only thing that's different, since I was a kid, when I was a kid there were no American soldiers, period.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is some, but it's mostly they're using Israel the United States is using Israel as their biggest weapon depot.
Well, it's also probably more the UN too.
And if they pull out, the Israelis will have all this.
The weapons will stay.
Yeah,
just like they did in Afghanistan.
Just like they done in Afghanistan, just like they done in Vietnam, just like
It's
they
too
done
expensive
Second
to
World
bring them
War,
out
Korea, you
than
name
it
it.
is to just leave them.
Yeah. It's always been like that. Not like that, but yes.
Well, this time it was pretty grotesque the way they left all the weapons, and so now all those weapons are pointed back at us, and even more so probably. And so if it happens again in Israel,
A part of the prophecies, America, to me, is very clear. I don't like it, but it's very clearly going to shrink down.
America will.
Yeah, not in size, but in influence on world events. Americans just going to live on their island for the best of their abilities, good or bad.
You're insinuating that we'll become isolationists in a way.
Yes.
Well, that worked for China, it seems, for a long, long time. For 20,000 years, I think, right? And so when America became really strong in, let's say, the 1950s, at post-World War II, China just kind of stayed to themselves. Even they had their own world war to fight against Japan, but we didn't see China step into Europe at all. China left Russia alone. China left the Germans alone. And seemingly, Adolf Hitler was smart enough to know, hey, let's just leave them alone, because if we go after China, we're probably going to ruin ourselves. And he underestimated.
Wait till we have an atomic bomb to deal with it.
Well, he didn't have them.
No.
Right, and he got arrogant when he went after Russia because he thought that he could take them. And I guess he's like, well, should we go after Russia or China? The Russians look weaker than the Chinese, so let's go after them. And it didn't work out. And I saw this World War II documentary about, it was The Man in the High Tower. It wasn't a documentary, it was a film. And it talked about how Hitler could have won World War II. And had he just gone west instead of going north to Russia, he would have had all the resources he needs to take over Europe and then eventually hop across to Canada and then down.
The Man in the High Castle?
The Man in the High Castle, yeah. Sorry, I got it wrong. But yeah, really good series. If you haven't seen it, check it out.